In today's episode, we will talk all about Ethereum Layer 2s and why I believe now is the perfect time to get into Ethereum Layer 2 cryptos as the rotation is finally coming back to Ethereum and its ecosystem. So I'll give you guys three main reasons that is overall catalyzing this whole narrative shift. And along with that, the liquidity as well. Some of the most popular narratives going on in the crypto market today, such as restaking, modular blockchains, Celestia, these all converge at the center of Ethereum. So we'll get into that, and as well as I'll give you guys my top picks in the Ethereum Layer 2 ecosystem. Obviously, some of these will be more obvious, the industry giants, but there are even certain specific projects that I think are very undervalued compared to their competition. The ones that actually have upcoming catalysts and are more future looking are actually at a lower valuation than the relatively popular ones right now. So we'll get into those, and we'll do some trade analysis as well on the charts of these most popular Layer 2 coins, and I'll show you guys some entry setups as well. Okay. That's on the agenda for today. If you guys are new here to the channel, welcome. My name is Dennis. I'm a crypto angel investor for the past 5 years, and I have invested in over 100 crypto startups. On this channel, I share my views on market trends and investing strategy to build wealth in crypto. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So there are essentially three reasons why I think Layer 2s are making a huge splash this year. I know what people might think, right? Why do we need so many Layer 2s? But just hear me out. So reason number one is that Ethereum is really starting to gain strength through the advancement of EIP 4844, which is the next big upgrade coming to Ethereum in early this year, potentially even before ETH Denver by the end of February. So this is honestly like the next month or so, right? Very short timeline. And we have been talking about this for so long already. EIP 4844 upgrade is all about reducing gas costs for Ethereum rollups. So Ethereum Layer 2s, right? When you do transactions on there, on things like Arbitrum, Optimism, you usually spend a few cents. On zkSync, you might spend 20 to 30 cents. After this upgrade, all of these fees will reduce by at least 10x, sometimes 100x. So that means Arbitrum Optimism fees will become less than 1 cent, right? Half a cent, one quarter of a cent. And zkSync, even those very expensive Layer 2s, will start to become 1 to 2 cents only. So this is a huge upgrade, actually. And another side that's pushing the overall liquidity back into Ethereum is with the Ethereum ETF, right? So now that the Bitcoin ETF has already come through, I have made a full coverage on this as well. Why I'm heavily betting on Ethereum for the next 4 months as the overall market shifts to that direction. And this is because I have dove into this very deep. Bitcoin ETF, people saw how that trade played out, which was all the speculation leading up to the ETF approval. And now, because we know that the Ethereum ETF most likely will come because BlackRock is the kingmaker here, and BlackRock has filed also for Ethereum ETF. Grayscale has also won their lawsuit in the Bitcoin case, so they have a very similar case against the SEC in the Ethereum case. And we even know the actual deadlines for the Ethereum ETF, which is probably going to be May-ish. So if you want the whole breakdown on that, make sure to check this video. But TLDR is that Ethereum ETF most likely will come this year. And with that, a large amount of speculation will also come in the next 4 to 5 months. So that's number one reason overall why I think Layer 2s will be hugely popular, at least first half of this year, because Ethereum gains a lot of strength and Layer 2s for the most part serve Ethereum. Okay, that's number one. Number two is that there is a huge wave of interest around modular blockchains, around restaking, and around Celestia, right? So there are basically two main players in this narrative, right? So when it comes to restaking, all the hype is around Eigenlayer, right? A lot of people still don't know what Eigenlayer is. I'm going to make a deep dive on this as well. But TLDR is that Eigenlayer enables anyone that stakes Ethereum to not only receive the Ethereum staking reward and help secure the base Ethereum blockchain, but also use that staking power to secure other protocols on top of Ethereum, such as Layer-2s, such as bridges, such as a data availability protocol, just like Celestia. So this is what Eigenlayer does, and you can imagine the wealth effect of this, right? It used to be that when you run a Layer-2, you have to create your own validator set, right? You have to have a bunch of people come stake. So there can only be so many Layer-2s. But now with the help of Eigenlayer, technically speaking, there can be so many different Layer-2s, and as long as people stake Ethereum, they can stake Ethereum towards a certain Layer-2 that they support, or even a certain type of app chain that they typically use. And it doesn't need much, right? That app chain can very seamlessly roll up a Layer-2 network. And this is why we see so many of these Layer-2s start to pop off. It's because really they're much easier to create now. And that's why, like, if you're building a relatively demanding type of project, it's decently easy to make one of these Layer-2s now. So it's not like the Layer 1 before where everyone is trying to disrupt Ethereum. Instead, it's easy to do now, which means this wave is gaining popularity. And on the other hand, right, we have obviously Celestia. So everyone already knows what Celestia is, hugely popular project. And the narrative around Celestia, right, is all around modular blockchains, right? So when you look on Celestia, first modular blockchain network. Now, a lot of people think that Celestia is its own narrative, own Layer 1, and when you build using Celestia, you're building on top of Celestia. This is not true, right? So because how Celestia functions is that it separates the layers, right? So Celestia only handles the data availability layer on the bottom here. And then where you can see on the top here, most of the time, the networks built using Celestia still serve as Ethereum Layer-2s. So again, this is another tool, another way of making it much easier to build a Layer-2 on top of Ethereum, right? And yes, you can do this on Solana, you can do this on Cosmos, but for the most part, all of the projects using Celestia today are technically building it for Ethereum, right? So when you look on, typical examples, Manta Network uses Celestia. You have Fuel, you have like Saga, you have Dimension. All of these take Celestia as the data availability layer, but also takes Ethereum as the settlement layer. And usually they take the Ethereum virtual machine as well for execution. So this is why when Celestia gets popular, sure, Celestia itself will be great, but also it directly benefits Ethereum, and it directly benefits how easy it is to create Ethereum Layer-2s. So this is the second point I wanted to make. And the third is that this year, some of the largest zk EVMs and zk rollup Layer-2s will all be airdropping their tokens in 2024. So some of the clearest examples, right? We have by far the biggest one is zkSync. So zkSync most likely will be dropping their token, I would say first half of this year. I don't think anyone really knows exactly when, but there are some clues, right? So for instance, I still think it's not too late to qualify for the zkSync airdrop. In fact, there is a very, very high chance, the highest chance you can get the zkSync airdrop, which is through the GRVT exchange, the referral campaign. So I'm going to make a deep dive on this as well soon. But essentially, GRVT is the first hyperchain that's launched on top of zkSync. And they are this perpetual exchange like DYDX, like Apex, like GMX. And for their platform launch, they are partnering with zkSync to offer these official zkSync mystery boxes, right? You see the logos on here. And what I have been doing is referring our users to sign up to this. And you see each week I have 100 quotas. I have actually just refreshed for this week, and I left the link in the description. Should be the first link in the description. So you can use that link, sign up to the exchange, and you see here you can refer your friends, you can connect your Twitter accounts, etc. Typical things. And then once the their platform launches, right, where they actually have the trading enabled, you can start trading on this platform, and you will start to accrue more and more points to get more and more mystery box airdrop, right? So if they don't give away zkSync tokens in this, that would be the biggest shock to me, to be honest, because they have this whole campaign together. So this is why I say zkSync, looking at how quickly this campaign is moving, I think their tokens should be launching at least in the first half of this year, right? So that's, again, right, going to be at least multi-billion, probably 10 billion plus market cap of a project, if you look at how big zkSync is. Okay, so that's GRVT, and you can find the link in the description. I have already added it there. And second, StarkNet, right? StarkNet used to be the original, zk EVM, zk rollup layer 2 solution. And these guys have also come out and confirmed that they will be distributing 900 million StarkNet tokens to their community, right? And they said this way back in December. So this is, it even said led by the DeFi community and nearing the end of the research phase, and will move into execution and deployment in Q1 2024, right? So we're talking about within the next 2 months, huge events that's happening with another token, the StarkNet token. And there are a couple more, right? Linea is another really good example, relatively newcomer, but this zk EVM layer 2 is developed by Consensus, right? Which is the biggest infra company in Ethereum. They are the parent company of MetaMask, right? By far the biggest wallet out there. So they have just ended their Linea DeFi voyage, which is their campaign to let people onboard to the ecosystem. And in exchange, people got a lot of these Linea experience points, these LXP token points. So the next step, right, obviously is pushing towards potential airdrop if they have any. Again, they haven't announced anything, but the timeline matches perfectly. And then a couple more, right, things that you might not have heard of. So Scroll, I have covered this briefly before. This is another very strong zk EVM. They have already gone to mainnet for 6 months, right? And they have gone through the developer phase, and now it's all about user phase. So again, ties into another potential airdrop. You see, this is also not a small project, right? They have already reached $1.8 billion in valuation in their private fundraise. And another one called Taiko, very similar, zk EVM, ready to launch to mainnet, and they have raised $22 million, most likely in the multi-billion dollars as well in valuation when they launch. Again, this is probably going to be this year. And last but not least, this one I just found is very shocking of a project called Aleo. So Aleo somehow have raised over $200 million for a privacy-minded DeFi project. Privacy-minded DeFi layer 2, I believe. Yeah. And you see their mainnet is set to come out within weeks, they say. This is fresh announcement from yesterday. And this is not necessarily a zk layer 2, but a zk blockchain, right? And again, another airdrop in the zk narrative, and raising $200 million is massive, right? We have only seen very few select projects. I believe Polkadot raised more, Polygon raised more. I think Aptos and Sweet both raised more, but that puts them right away in the $3 to $5 billion plus valuation. So that just goes to show, like, all of these airdrops are around the Ethereum Layer 2 and zk ecosystem. So we have just named 6 of them, right? And if all of these happen this year, that's going to be a huge wealth effect, right? Because that's going to be like 6 times, $3 to $5 billion projects, sometimes 10 billion for zkSync. So no matter if you, like or if you hate layer 2s and you think they're useless, I get it, right? There are already so many, well-working layer 2s, right? Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon. We technically don't need so many, but when these tokens drop, there will be a huge speculative effect, right? There will be huge ecosystems being created just from their native tokens, right? Money technically kind of comes out of nowhere. So in a bull market, this is what's important to look at, right? We don't need to necessarily buy into all of these tokens. You don't need to necessarily agree that all of these tokens will survive long term, but you just need to see the trend, which is that there's imminently, like 20, 30, maybe $40 billion of market cap pouring into all of these layer 2 projects, launching first half of this year, maybe first 3 quarters of this year. And that will be a huge hype wave. So along with that, right, there will be marketing campaigns. There will be certain influencer deals that these guys can allocate to talk to other influencers, tell them, okay, we're going to drive layer 2 as a narrative. They're going to talk to exchanges. They're going to talk to market makers. And you will just naturally see this happen. So I think right now is the perfect time to get into layer 2s. And this is the third reason why I think this is the best time. Okay, so now that I have gotten that out of the way, there are how many? There are 5 existing projects that I technically already have all talked about and I am bullish on. None of these are very small, but I'll just show you why these are good and some chart analysis as well. So 2 of the biggest market leaders, obviously Arbitrum Optimism, right? These 2 are the earliest adopters in layer 2s. They are not zk rollups, they are optimistic rollups, which means they are not in the latest hype wave, right? However, these guys are really pushing towards the modular narrative when it comes to launching new app chains, right? So for the sake of Arbitrum, they launched some very successful projects as well recently called, for example, Zai, right? So Zai, a gaming-focused layer 3 that launched on the Arbitrum technology stack, is valued at $2 billion. Pretty crazy, right? You have an Arbitrum ecosystem project at $2 billion. So I know for a fact, they are launching many more of these. So they are themselves creating an ecosystem for it. And then alongside with that Optimism, right, they have launched things like Base, OPBNB, many other chains. They're a bit more enterprise focused, but nonetheless, definitely, I would say the liquidity will continue to remain strong. Now, if you're talking about like, can these 2 market giants make another like 3x this year or 3x in this like layer 2 wave? Hard to say. I think that's like slightly difficult, right? And that's why, if you are interested in these, I would really look at them as short-term trading opportunities. And if you are betting on, for example, a rotation from in the market from Bitcoin into Ethereum, right, imminently, then you can say, okay, whenever Ethereum pops up, Arbitrum Optimism, most of the time it follows Ethereum. So that's how I like to look at it. Okay, just right away, right, when we look at how these coins are doing. So this chart I have on the screen here is the average of Arbitrum, Optimism, and Polygon, the 3 most well-known, largest layer 2 projects. And here you can see this is the average of them. And they made a really sharp bounce in the first week of January, right? So this was when it was looking really promising. These guys have outperformed other layer 1s, even the likes of Solana and Avalanche in this period. But since then, they have kind of come down. In fact, I have the same chart of the alternative layer 1s, Solana, AVAX, and Polkadot, the average of these 3. And I'm going to do divide by 3. So you see, first week of January, these guys did outperform, right? The candle chart here is the layer 2s, but now these guys are all starting to correct back again. So I think the key question to ask now is, can the average of these 3 layer 2 giants hold above this key support level, right? So that's right around 1.73, the average of the 3. So I would say if I can get average entries somewhere, within 10% of current price, I would say those are all really good for these 3 coins. Okay, so with that being the context, let's look at them a little bit deeper. So on Arbitrum, this is a setup that I have been looking at. I have, in fact, posted about this in our Discord as well. But I have covered this in our altcoin analysis channel. Right, so here we have, where is this? Right, so we first covered the Ethereum breakout. And then, since we were getting into Ethereum long position, I was also getting position in Manta, right? Newly launched Layer-2. But you see here, I was going into Arbitrum, right around the 1.5 to 1.7 range. So that's the same setup you see here. And I believe some of our orders got hit already on this recent dip. So when was this? This was 2 days ago. So I'm not sure if my limit orders hit, but I gotta check, right? Usually I just put in limit orders because I'm pretty confident in these levels. So yeah, so here you see already starting to bounce back, targeting potentially new highs on this as long as Bitcoin behaves, right? Similarly for Optimism, this was kind of the entry range. Again, pretty wide, right? So ideally I would like to have anything between 2.1 to 2.9. So it did come down to this range. I would like this to come down a little bit further because technically this is showing a double top pattern and breakdown retest. So I would like to see Optimism come down a little bit further into this accumulation range, maybe average 2.5. That would be much safer in my eyes. So I haven't got a Optimism long yet, but definitely one to watch. Now, the third one that we have just mentioned is Polygon, right? So Polygon, I really think is undervalued right now. Few reasons, right? The first is most obvious, right? Polygon has the best tokenomics among these 3 industry giants, right? So Polygon's market cap is at 7.5 billion FDV. Optimism is at 13. Arbitrum is at 17.9. Now remember, just about 3 months ago, these 3 coins were at very similar valuations, right around that $8 to $9 billion mark. So Arbitrum and Optimism both have gone on to make, I believe they made new all-time highs for both. Polygon has not yet. So this is number 1. Number 2, supply of Polygon is so much better, right? Because it's relatively a older coin. Essentially all of the supply is circulating, right? 92% out of the 10 billion is circulating. Whereas on Optimism, right, you have below 1 billion circulating of the 4.2 billion supply. So 25% circulating. Arbitrum, right, 12% circulating. Again, pretty crazy if you think about it. That's not to say these will imminently have dumping pressure, but you just have to understand when the unlock events actually happen. Now, on Polygon, you don't have to worry about that, right? Because most of the supply is circulating. And on top of that, right, Polygon does have very, very significant catalyst events coming up. So we have covered this quite a few times, right? Polygon has their token rebrand from Matic to PO, right, with Polygon 2.0. And this is not just a naming rebrand, right? The entire utility is being rebranded. So when you look at this diagram here, very simply put, it used to be that the Polygon Matic token is only used in one chain, which is the Polygon POS sidechain. But now, in this new design, the PO token will be used as the staking layer token, which means you stake the Polygon token, and the token not only secures the POS sidechain, it also secures their native zk EVM, which is already live on mainnet. And it also helps to secure all other app chains launched using their CDK or the chain development kit. Here it is. So there are many of these large projects that is currently developing on Polygon. So I believe there's a link I have here. Yeah. So here are their clients, right? OKX is developing their X1 chain using CDK, right? You have Astar Network. They already have launched their zk EVM using Polygon CDK, and that chain will be secured by the POL token, right? So there will be feedback into the POL tokenomics, right? And Astar is I believe it's a $1.5 billion project. Canto, you guys are familiar. This is like a $400 or $500 million project. Near Protocol is also in here. You have Immutable X, $2 billion project. You have Manta Network, $3 billion project. So really, the POL tokenomics in Polygon 2.0 will be massive, right? There's so many more other chains that sit on top of the Polygon staking layer. And that is all thanks to this new tokenomics design. And this staking, technically, it's very similar to how Eigenlayer works. It functions in a restaking format. You can think of it like, instead of having an ecosystem project like Eigenlayer for Ethereum, Polygon just rolls that in and says, okay, we're going to take Eigenlayer's tech and rolls that into our native protocol layer. So that's what Polygon 2.0 is. Honestly, this is a big upgrade. And even more recently, just 2 days ago, they have revealed this new type of how they want these sub-blockchains to talk to each other. They call this aggregated blockchains, which essentially, how I understood this is that there's going to be a unified bridge. So when you develop a chain using Polygon's zk stack, right? You develop any zk EVM, like Manta, like Astar, like OKX chain. All of these chains can interact natively. There doesn't need to be a bridge. So this is very cool and something new that's coming in February. So with all of these things considered, and the fact that Polygon is zk tech, right? They are the number one solution right now. If you want to build a zk EVM, a zk layer 2, you would use the CDK. I really don't think Polygon should be undervalued versus Arbitrum and Optimism, right? So that's why I think, out of the industry giants in the layer 2 space, Polygon is a very solid bet right now. So this is why, again, in our Discord, which you should find the link in the description if you want to join, I have also covered how I was getting into Polygon. Again, opening a Polygon Matic long right around that 79 cents range. So ideally, we'd like to average down on this. I have covered all of this that we have talked about, how zk EVMs is all the hype this year with zk layer 2s. Polygon is the leading solution there. And just the last little bit, when you look at actual price performance here, we are pretty much just testing key support level here, right? Let's say bottom of this range at 72.5 cents. We did wick below it, but I would say anything that I can get in this lower band of the support range, let's say between 70 to around 79 cents, right? If I were to, instead of that range, I would draw a kind of support box. This is where I will be looking at, right? Anything I can get in this range, I think that's a good deal. So this is kind of what I'm looking at and targeting at least these recent highs that we made in 2022. So something like $1.20 as a short-term target, right? Once this catch-up happens for Matic, as they rebrand to Polygon, as people realize that Polygon is relatively undervalued versus Arbitrum and Optimism, and their whole technology stack has been revamped, the tokenomics has been revamped, and there are so many new chains launching using Polygon's CDK. I think this kind of a trade is pretty obvious to me. Okay, so that's on Polygon. And then let's see, what else is here? Yeah, just two smaller ones, but I think are very worthy paying attention to. I have covered these before. So first one is Mantle, right? So Mantle is the layer 2 that was initially Bybit and BitDAO, the investment DAO of Bybit, and they have rebranded to the Mantle Layer-2. So these guys are actually quite strong. If you look at their recent price performance here, right, since October, these guys have done 2.5x, right, from 30 cents all the way up to 80 cents. And you can see this, you can see why, because these guys are really solid at attracting total value locked, right? DeFi ecosystem. So looking at different chains out there, Mantle doesn't appear that big, right? They have $139 million in total value locked right here. But what's really flowing into the ecosystem is with their liquid staking protocol. So their liquid staking protocol is actually number 4 now. They have overtaken Frax, right? So they are $769 million staked. They're only behind Binance, Lido, and Rocket Pool. So this is really big. So if you combine those two together, technically Mantle has almost $1 billion of total value locked. So that kind of explains why. And the reason why this is so popular is because we have covered this before in our interview with Jordy. TLDR is that they have been offering double yield on Ethereum staking. Because they have such a large treasury, they have been staking their own Ethereum, but sharing their Ethereum treasury stake with people that stake with them. So they are not collecting their Ethereum staking rewards. Instead, they are distributing that to people that choose to stake with them. And that's why they have, you see, accumulated 333,000 Ethereum staked on the chain. So this is really cool. One of the ecosystems that really has a lot of money and knows how to use that money to boost their ecosystem. So this is one that I have in my portfolio. And another one, obviously, Manta. We have covered this in our last live stream as well. I really think Manta team knows how to deliver. You can see this, how they have captured so much TVL in such a short amount of time, right? They are actually number 3 now by total value locked, 1.6 billion. They have overtaken Metis, Base, even current stage of zkSync itself, right? Just a huge TVL number here. And they also really hit all the narrative points, right? They use Eigenlayer for restaking yield. They use Celestia for data availability. They use zkEVM from Polygon CDK, and they are modular by nature, right? So these guys really know what they're doing, and I still hold the Manta token. And let's see if I can get the Manta chart here. So I hold the Manta token. I have covered in on the live stream, right, where we were talking about this like $2 range level. This would have been a killer pickup when this token first listed, and you see this is up. How much is that? Like 60% since then. We covered this on our last live stream. I have also been covering this on our Discord as well. You see here, right? Like I covered on stream today, long in Manta around the $2 range. See this reaching at least $4 as a fair value short term, and I still stand by that. I have not sold any of my Manta airdrop from the new paradigm farming campaign, and I even bought more right around that $2 range. So this is one I still have in my portfolio, and I still see at least a bit more upside towards $4. And yeah, that is it. Those are the 5 layer 2 altcoins I have in my portfolio. Arbitrum, Optimism, obviously market leaders, right? Everyone thinks of these two. I think their prices are fair, right? At least for short-term trade. A potential trade like this certainly could happen on Arbitrum and Optimism. Polygon, really, I think it's undervalued. So I am betting quite heavily on Polygon as a trade setup. Closely watching this every day right now. With so much happening for the ecosystem, how they are zk and how the POL token has so much better tokenomics. Mantle and Manta, these two chains really know what they're doing in terms of TVL adoption. So keep an eye out for them. And yeah, all of the other chains launching this year, zkSync, Linea, StarkNet, Scroll, Taiko, Aleo, these 6 chains will all have huge airdrops. So look out for them. I don't know if you will have time to wait for my airdrop guides, but I will for sure do the zkSync one very soon. And if you just want to qualify for any of these, make sure to just go on Twitter, search for zkSync or whatever airdrop guide. And especially for zkSync, make sure to check the #1 link in the description for GRVT. This is the best way to get the zkSync airdrop. And I have invite code in the description. Okay, that's it. That's it for today's video. Before we do Q&As, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. And if you want more content and more alpha like this, 2 things you can do. #1, join our Discord with the link in the description, or go to discord.gg/virtualbacon. I have been hitting some really good trades in the past week or so. We were getting into Eigenlayer Restaking related stuff. We were getting into Launchpads, getting into Cosmos, Airdrops, ton of stuff, ton of alpha there. And it's all free. You just have to join one of our exchange partners. And that's #1. #2 is to make sure to follow me on X at virtualbacon0x. This is where I drop day-to-day crypto alpha before I make them into these in-depth videos and live streams. If you want the quickest alpha, you should get them on Twitter.